We have a quorum and we can start. Roll call?
Patricia Felton. Brian Ford.
Did Brian leave?
He did, but I
thought he moved on.
Yeah, Danny said he was going to be here as well.
No, he resigned.
Oh, he resigned. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Mike Green.
Here.
Charlotte Jones.
She's on her way.
Okay.
Good.
Fred Prime.
Yes.
Pam Schermeyer.
Here.
Dan Sugg. That's what I was thinking of. And Danielle Huey.
Here. I happen to be here too.
Over the Kelly and Bruce one.
Yep. Okay. Good to begin.
All right, we're going to do a motion for Dan.
I have a motion to excuse board members Sugg and Felton. Is that it? And Huey if she doesn't show.
Huey is here.
Why do I keep doing that?
Jones, she
Charlotte.
says she's on her way though.
Charlotte Jones if she doesn't show up.
Yep, I'll second that.
I made support. All's in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Next item, approval of the minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
May support. Any questions? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as permitted, or as submitted.
Is that the consent agenda?
No, this is normal.
Second.
Oh, the regular agenda. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, made and supported.
Second. Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Now the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion for the consent agenda.
Could I just ask one question about the financial reports before we...
Pull it out of the consent agenda.
Okay, all right, I move that we pull it out of the consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay. Is that,
Is this something you'd still like to receive? Is just not be in the
No,
consent?
we'll potentially approve it after the consent
Oh,
agenda.
okay.
So I'll move to approve the consent agenda with the removal of the monthly financial reports.
okay.
Second.
Second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
So
Financial report.
Yeah, I just had a question. There's a expenditure of $25,000 and change to L. Anthony Construction. What was that for?
that was part of the alley project.
Oh.
So that's kind of the remaining portion of that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I had one question about the planning and consulting. We budgeted for $23,000. And it looks like that didn't happen. Is that right?
So that just might be an entry error. So we can go back and double check what you guys approved and fix that in PSNA. So yeah, naturally we have the sheet that Susie and everyone discussed before she left and you guys approved.
Yep.
It just might be an entry error.
Okay.
That's simple enough to change the BSNA, but we'll double check that.
Cool. All right.
So I'll move to approve the monthly financial report.
Second.
All right. Made in support. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. Public comment section.
How do we do that? I don't.
Please step over that microphone.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
oh,
Please
it's gonna-
please limit.
that's
limit.
what it says.
3-minute limit. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Robin Roberts. Some of you know me. I am a member of the Historic District Commission here in Lathrup Village. And the reason I'm here today is because I'm concerned about some of the information that was in today's packet. The plans for the school have not been submitted to the Historic District Commission. They have not had any kind of review. And it just feels like the letter and things are premature. As a member of the commission, I'm not for or against the school project, but it does need to be reviewed to see if it fits the Secretary of the Interior's standards, and it's unlikely that it's going to go forward in the exact same form that it's first submitted. It's going to take some back and forth in order to have that be in compliance with those standards. So I'm concerned that people are overlooking that step or are not giving it as much weight as they should. And it needs to be considered as part of it. So.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So the intent of the process with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation is to see if they can actually financially make the project feasible. So there
Okay.
is a gap in funding. So the project has not gone through the site plan review process.
Right, I know,
And,
yeah.
and that is something that will happen following them confirming that they can actually get the project off the ground financially.
Okay, it sort of seems like the cart's before the horse, though. And,
It's still in the planning
Yeah.
stages. It's still very much in the planning stages.
right. Well, I mean, I know it hasn't had any review yet, and it's not.
Mhm.
And I said, as a member of the commission, I'm not for or against the project at this point because I haven't had the plans presented to
Yep.
me. I haven't reviewed them, so. But just wanted to remind everybody that step is an important part of the process.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Rick Wiz. I've got a couple concerns about the letter. Basically, line that says it demonstrates a unified and collective commitment to the success of the Surnow redevelopment project, et cetera, which is going to bring economic, social, cultural benefits. It has the full backing of the local community and its leaders. I've got no knowledge of any of the residents being involved in having input on this project. The last time this project saw the light of day, as far as I know, was at a planning commission meeting months and months ago. The last planning commission was a Zoom meeting that residents, I suppose residents could have had access to, but not very easily. So I'm thinking that, you know, some of the wording here, the building is a blemish on our landscape. The joint public-private partnership has been meticulously developed over several years. I think Surnow's been problematical over the last several years and sometimes has to be dragged kicking and screaming to make any arrangements or any changes, which seems strange with his history. They've done great things in Birmingham, with the post office and a couple other places. So why they can't use those same talents to do something with the school is beyond me. Anyway, I realize that this letter is telling the Economic Development Commission that this is what we're looking at, but I think it might be misrepresenting the whole idea of the public-private backing of this. I think if you got a hold of 50% of the residents, you might find it this project doesn't have that much backing. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrea Bouchard. As a 30-year Lathrup resident, I'm here because I'm deeply concerned about the feasible report that was in the minutes for the meeting today, to tear down our precious green spaces to make room for apartments or condos. While I understand the need for development, I firmly believe that sacrificing these small but vital green areas will have long-term consequences for our community, our environment, and our quality of life. First, I'm confused as to why the DDA is requesting such a report. This is a copy of the DDA's district, and both of those plots of lands are outside of the DDA district. So I don't really understand why this is being brought up in a DDA meeting, why it was addressed to Austin, the DDA director. So if you can explain why that's happening, because it seems like it's an overreach of power and it's outside of the boundaries of the DDA district. I'm concerned about the environmental impact. Green spaces are more than just patches of grass and trees. They're the lungs of our city. These areas absorb Harmful pollutants produce oxygen and help improve the air quality for all of us. Without them, we're looking at an increase in pollution, which will directly affect the health of our residents, especially our children and the elderly. Second, if we consider our health and well-being, green spaces are proven to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. They offer a place for families, children, and seniors to come together. They also play a crucial role in managing stormwater and preventing flooding. With more concrete and asphalt replacing grass and trees, where will the rain go? These spaces absorb rainwater, reducing the risk of overwhelming our storm drains and contributing to costly floods that disrupt our lives and damage property. We already have a huge flooding issue in Lathrup, and this will only make it worse. And let's not forget the economic benefits. Studies have shown that property values increase near green spaces. They attract tourism, boost local businesses, and make our city a more desirable place to live. This will also greatly affect the property values, especially for those who live proximity to these two triangles. These people specifically bought these houses because of the beauty, because of the privacy, because of everything that these green spaces offer to them. I've already spoken to some, and they've said, well, we'll just move. But then the problem is, who's going to want to buy that house across the street from a 3-story apartment or condo? Their property values are going to drop, which then is going to affect everybody's property values in the city of Lathrup. Thank you.
Jason Hammond. I just want to note that I appreciate the DDA doing feasibility studies to investigate if things are feasible or not. I think that nothing in a feasibility study is a foregone conclusion, and until you have all the information about what could be done with any parcel in the district, in any district in the city, you don't know. So investigation is important. Please continue to do that. You have my support in doing that type of work. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Autumn Susannis, and I'm just here to piggyback on the back of some of the very pertinent points that Andrea Bouchard brought up. You're being asked to sign a letter that has some inaccuracies on it and some fallacies as well. That this letter represents a unified and collective agreement to commit to the Surnow redevelopment project. You're signing that today. Unified collective agreement. Your letter also says that there has been input from residents, and that is an untrue statement. There has not been a town hall or anything beyond the April of this year presentation where lots of things were brought up, and the request that our council member Jason Hammond left us with was an idea that would be resubmitted with corrections made, including the building materials, which aren't even code to many of our buildings in this city. They're supposed to be not siding, and that presentation had siding, vinyl siding. So there's some issues, and you're signing a letter today stating that there was resident involvement and this was meticulous and years worth of work. I don't think that should be signed today until those things are true. I believe the character of the city is in jeopardy if the development goes forward with our one remaining, even says in your letter, this is our one remaining historical landmark, and it's going to be surrounded by a 5-story building, which we don't have any 5-story buildings here. We have 2-story buildings here, and that would be quite a blemish, to quote the words you used, Mr. Colson. Blemish and eyesore is appalling to read in a letter. I know there was a lot of other language in there too that was in support of this, but that building is simply vacant. And like Rick Bitz said, the Surnow company has demonstrated they have the ability to restore historic buildings. They do it in other projects. Why haven't we held them to accountability to do it here? That building shouldn't be vacant. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful historic, it's our heritage. We should embrace that. We should consider other things besides multiple family units. Why are we putting down parking for, it looks like about 400 new parking spaces? That's 400 new residents. What about the goal of the DDA, which is to increase the vitality of the downtown district? And if you're going to go outside your district, how about put some wood chips on the park that's outside your district that you've decided you can't touch. We need some wood chips dropped. Wood chips are free, and those cement footings are exposed, and a potential lawsuit is inevitable. Children trip on the exposed footings, and they're gonna crack their head on cement. All we have to do is drop wood chips. Let's just do it. And that's outside your district. That's what we've been told. It's outside. So if you're gonna venture outside, do some things just to maintain what we've already got. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. So what, the public comment, the period
Meeting
is
closed.
closed. Move to the next item. Sorry, pull this back up again here. Old business.
So during the July DDA meeting, the board asked that we reach out to our planning consultant and have a feasibility study drafted regarding a lot that we own here in the village center. It is not on Southfield Road, but it is in the DDA and in the village center. So if Jill, you don't mind giving a quick little overview of
Sure.
what was looked at for the first feasibility study.
Sure. And if I just stand up here, can it hear me? Do I have it? Okay. Those little triangle pieces have been just there for a number of years. They are treed. They have trees on them, but they're not really maintained as a park facility like the other parks that the city has. The idea was just the question, what can we do with these parcels? We've had them for a long time. Several years ago, some of you might remember that there was a discussion about moving the police station to one of those, or maybe making it into parking. And the question was, well, what else could we do with it? And it looks like that if we laid those out with housing, which would be a great use for those properties, contributing to the number of households in the city, helping our local businesses, but also giving current residents who might look for something different in terms of a housing option, the ability to live in a slightly different area, a different kind of housing option. So it looked like we could do a couple of different units on each of those. And then in conjunction with this other property, the school redevelopment, we thought, well, let's take a look and just see. Parking is not our first idea. We always think, that there's a better use for land than just parking. But if we looked at developing that right-of-way, that really opens up a great opportunity to not just pave over that site, because we have to continue to address stormwater, as was mentioned as one of the concerns. But we could add a significant number of parking spaces there that might offset any of the users of the eventual redevelopment project, but also serve for community events, the concerts, any events that we have here at City Hall. Or maybe there's a combination of both. Maybe it could be some housing, and maybe we can do some parking in the right-of-way still. So there are a few different things that can be done with that. But really, housing is a great opportunity and a great use for those parcels that don't completely redevelop them with hardscape, and I think contribute in a way that is more consistent with the context of where they are. So I can answer any questions you have about that. But
I just want to remind you guys in the public for context. A couple months ago, we were just discussing the potential of selling this lot because the DDA has owned it for over a decade and hasn't done anything with it. So when we talked to Gibbles, we were just, and what could you potentially do with it? Because at the end of the day, it'd be a developer. This is not the DDA developing this lot. This would be us potentially selling the lot and letting the developer pitch us an idea. So we were just, me and Austin were talking, right? Similar to Jill, we think housing would be perfect there, so it would be the maximum you could do. At the end of the day, it'd be up to the developer. First we gotta see if the DDA has any interest in selling the lot.
So with what we have in the packet, this is just, we would have to sell this to a developer to do this.
Yeah,
Right,
this
so-
was just, we just asked Gibbles and a very concept, rough idea of what could potentially happen here, because we know it's awkward shaped. We know the village center has weird zoning districts, but it was really the shape. It's what could you do here? So we just asked them to come up with a concept and housing and parking were kind of the two main. Naturally, with the village center, there could be businesses, there could be other uses that are permitted. But from our perspective, we felt housing would be best fit. So let's start examining that first.
So this is just an idea that you
Yes.
came up with, but if you sell this lot, we have no control over how that person develops that lot.
Not
I mean, well,
necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily.
I mean, you have control, but I'm just saying that we have, just for our ordinance wise, we have that control. But I mean, because I was looking at this like, oh, this is a great idea, but then it's like if you sell it, it could be totally different. I'm just kind of.
I think that's what gives us the little wiggle room where if we do sell it, part of your purchase agreement will lay out exactly what they're supposed to do. So I think that's where our control comes in.
In my mind, I'm thinking of the the house in the woods property. That's why I'm like,
And I can add to that. So in one of my previous stops, we sold a bunch of city-owned land, and one of the things we put in our purchase agreement was specific timelines they had to
Okay.
meet, and if they didn't meet them, the property would revert back to the
Oh.
city. So we had that extra control and that extra incentive for them to actually develop and get the CBOs and get the buildings built.
oh, okay.
So there are
Yeah.
tools with those agreements that we can draft. but-
Yeah, another thing that you could do is do a request for qualifications.
Yep.
You can have this, like, this is our property, but we would be interested in seeing what qualified developers would do with this property consistent with what we are doing. What have you done before? How can you demonstrate to us that you could build something like this?
Okay.
Not necessarily this exact thing. If you've got a better idea, please let us know. But so that you're really becoming more of a partner with the potential developer, rather than losing all the control and just giving it up.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And a part of any feasibility study is also to do nothing, keep things
Right.
status quo.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point of the feasibility,
Yeah.
Mhm.
is to figure out
Yeah.
what you want to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this is a parcel that we own, but is or is not within our boundary.
It is.
It is.
Mhm.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
one,
it's
at
not-
least the one on the west side. Is the one on the east side as well?
The one
This
on
one?
the east side is in the DDA, the one on the west side is not, but it was a very similar lot
Yeah.
and almost equal to size.
Mhm.
So we had you just take a look at that one as well.
Yeah, but they're both owned by the city.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Are these drawings to scale? I mean, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 homes.
Mhm.
They could really fit that many
Yeah.
on those tiny little lots.
I know, isn't it?
It doesn't seem
Yeah.
right to me.
I know.
Well, I think preserving some trees would be a much desired condition.
And part of it was showing that the barrier would be trees. And
Yeah.
depending on how it were to be constructed, there would be a barrier of trees between this development and the neighborhood.
Or not. I mean, because the question is, would you want to screen off residential from residential? Would you want to bring parcels into the neighborhood and continue that neighborhood feeling that you have in most of the residential neighborhoods of the city, which is really nice? I think that's kind of a question, like, do we want to screen that, or are we using that area for more of our stormwater? Does it become rain gardens like that you kind of originated here many years ago, or some other kind of natural like landscape or natural way of treating some of the stormwater, keeping some of the trees so that it maybe from the residential side it doesn't look like we sold all the land and we developed all this stuff, like it kind of, I think that can be something that you think about and work out later. But there's a bunch of different ways that you could get around that.
Nothing requires a vote, so it should be okay. Also, we could, part of the condition of the sale, require bioswales to help manage rainwater.
Yeah, the rainwater, the stormwater is going to be a big issue for any property that gets redeveloped anywhere. Well, because you have those issues. It's an old infrastructure, it's an old system, and new development, we want to try to make sure that it's leaves as minimal of an imprint and an impact on the existing neighborhoods as possible, and try to fix that where you can too. And that could be an opportunity to address some of that there.
And like Kelly was saying, well, if it were to be sold to a developer, they can do what they like with it, and it could be single-family housing, not multifamily.
Right, but when you think about what is the best highest and best use for property, if you think about where those are in proximity to the commercial area, it makes sense that they might be more than just one house, too.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Pam, do you mind chairing, since Fred had the lead, do you mind chairing these
Okay.
things?
Let's move on to holiday lighting quotes.
So, as a part of last month's meeting, was to reach out and begin looking at quotes that could be, and concepts for holiday lighting. We were able to receive 5 quotes from local contractors. Christmas Decor was the first one, and they have done work, I think it was 2 years ago?
Yes.
They were the contractor. Theirs would include the gazebo in the back, which, since primarily the feedback I got from board members was that we wanted to maximize the number of lights in the front and have the majority focus on the front. But the gazebo has been done in the past, so that was an element we wanted to consider. So that was considered. The trees that are right in front of the building on each side, they would include those. And they would also do decorating around the monument sign out front, the Welcome to Lathrup Village sign we have out there. There was a request also to have garland put around it, but I would note that if we were to go that route, it would require anchors to be installed in the monument sign that would be permanent into the masonry. So I advise we don't do that. There was also talk of having lights that would come down the building, but that would also require anchors that would remain there permanently, and there would also be guidelines that would be between each of the anchors. So that would be something that would be there permanently, and something that only would be utilized during the holiday season. So also I'd recommend we stay away from that because it would damage the masonry of the building ultimately. So their quote came in at $10,229, which would be lighting on the top, to be bows put out front, and then the bushes around the monument sign would be lit up. If you look on page 29, there are additional elements that we could add in or swap out for this one. The next was by Wondery Lights. They put in a quote that would be $10,000 to do the roof line of City Hall in a wreath, and then also 8 of the trees that are here out front, which would cost $1,250 per tree. They did provide renderings to show what it would look like. So it would be a maximum, it would be a cost of, this would be beyond the 10,000 limit we were looking at, the budget we were going for. The next was from Howdah Lighting Authority. They would also do the roof line and do 8 of the trees. They would have 2 bows that would be put on the front of the facade, and they would also have garland around the monument sign. They also were able to provide renderings that show that it'd be white light with red accents. There's from Lucent Landscape and Lighting. They were going to be looking in a very similar way, doing trees, the trees along the side, the monument sign. This quote would have the wreaths on the front of the building, which would require anchoring. So if we wanted to move away from that, the columns out front would also be wrapped in lights, and then the roof line. They also proposed doing lighting near the public entrance out here, the lighting on top. And I spoke with the owner that if we wanted to not have any of the wreaths, that we could take the money that would have been used on that, requiring anchoring, and put lights around the entrance. And then Mike had a good idea of asking if we could have this also on the police entrance side. So both of the public entrances here to the building. Their quote came out to $10,600. So it's near our budget, and $1,500 of that would require anchoring, which we could use to light up the columns near the entrance in the roof line of both public entrances on the City Hall side and the police station side.
So when you say anchoring, like for the wreaths, what exactly is that? I mean, is it something that's going to be very visible, or is it just drilling a hole and
It's a bolted
Screwing
hole
in
the
a-
masonry.
It's a
Yeah.
stainless
screwing
steel.
in a hook? You know?
Yeah, it's a stainless steel anchor that goes in.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I could live with that. You're not talking about major,
it would go
Cordage.
into the masonry.
yeah,
So
yeah.
You can't put
yeah,
it.
that's something we could discuss if we
Okay,
wanted
that's
to
fine.
do that, or stay away from any type of anchoring or guidelines. Actually, I wish we would have got that screen, because I actually found a building that currently is covered in lights like that,
Okay.
and you can see the guidelines pretty prevalent.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would advise away doing that. The owner is actually here. If of the landscaping company, if you'd like to make a comment, you're welcome to.
So yeah,
have-
I can just make a comment to some of those things, so do I need to come?
I have one question too, yeah.
Please, yeah.
So, looking at the roof line that you just said along the public entrance, right now, this is a quote for only on this side of the building, that right
Both-
there.
Yeah, just this side over.
So then it would just stop on this side, it would be nothing?
Oh, no, it would also be on the front facade as well.
But we'd be happy to include the police officer side.
So I'm
We-
saying what we have right now is only saying it's doing half the building, it's not the police side.
It'd be the front and then
Yeah.
this parking lot.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Honestly, I
Okay.
didn't even walk that far around the building.
Okay,
He had asked me to go look at the gazebo, and we kind of focused on the monument sign area. But it's not a lot of additional roof line, and it's some pretty easy roof line to do that. We'd be happy to throw that in as well, because that was an oversight. I just wanted to make some comments on the anchoring. So it's between the bricks is what we call tuck point, like the mortar between the bricks.
Yeah.
That regularly needs to be maintained. So when we anchor a wreath or when we anchor garland, we know to drill into the tuck point. If we need it, we keep a tuck point repair caulk. We just did the chimney on my house last week with it, because again, that needs to be regularly maintained. But we drill a small hole for the stainless steel anchor that you mentioned. We put a white drywall anchor, and so just that stainless steel hook would be what stays. For the wall of lights that you mentioned, we didn't quote doing that, but we do that as well. And so what we were talking about is you have to drill holes to anchor a guideline to then run the light up and down to, because then you kind of so I'm sure most people are familiar with downtown Rochester, the way they do those. So the way they do that is they anchor a guideline at the top and at the bottom. We personally use chain, and then we connect that chain to the anchor holes, and then every 4 to 6 inches, depending on how much light we want to, how bright we want it to do. We do a huge church on Auburn Road, Albanian Catholic Church there, and it's such a big building. We only do it like every 9 inches. So we play with the spacing, how much light you want to how big. But anyways, sorry. Point being, then you run the lights to and from that chain with zip ties. That other company might have quoted leaving it there. We do remove it for some customers. So if y'all were interested in having a wall of lights but wanted that chain gone, the holes would need to stay there unless you covered them up and or the anchors. But the chain could be taken away. We do that for some customers. We expressed to Austin, even though we're proposing anchoring some things like garland or the wreaths. We definitely wanted to speak with your facilities, your maintenance folks, and make sure that they're comfortable with that, or yourselves as well, and make the expressions that I did just now about us knowing what we're doing and wanting to take care of the building as well. Something on our company, personally, we do a lot of work for the Whitney downtown, and so we definitely got to take care of that super old building when we're doing work there too. So if you all have any other questions, I came here just to kind of comment on those kind of things and answer any other questions that y'all might have.
Thank you.
Well,
We also received a quote from Express Holiday Lighting. They have quoted at $9,700. So there's a little different, would stay in the front. And then also they would do trees down Southfield Road. They quoted to do trees 10 on the north side of the building, 10 on the south side. So it came out to $9,700. They would do the bushes as well. similar to previous quotes, and then also do the roof line in the front of the building. So those were the quotes we received. After looking at everything that was recommended, there were two that stood out, which was Christmas decor and Lucent landscaping, and I would recommend we proceed with Lucent landscaping while deciding if we want to do any type of anchoring or if we would like to have any type of changes, like the addition of the police entrance and the addition of the columns in each of those entrances as you walk in.
What happened with, and maybe this is separate from this, somebody at the meeting, maybe it was you, Danielle?
tree.
Yeah, about a giant Christmas tree out front.
Yes, so I did talk with them about, or with the contractors about that, and they recommend that we look into, it's called a ring tree, and they can go up to 20 feet, but they are quite expensive. They can cost between $8,000, $10,000, $20,000. I actually had one of the trees out back next to the gazebo priced out to see lighting that one as a tree, and two of them came back at $10,000 to light that because it requires a cherry picker, scissor lift to get up there. So they would have to lease that or rent that, and then also prep the ground to not damage the grass. So we've discussed that T-Mobile has a grant for downtown districts. So we could put in a grant application to have a ring tree. I can show you more about that after the meeting. That would be something that would be included in that grant that would be qualified. But yeah, so it was looked into, both trees that are on site that could be used as a Christmas tree at like an event where the community comes together during the wintertime to light it. But also everyone kind of pointed me in the direction of these ring trees that they kind of hang down.
Is it artificial?
Okay.
Okay.
It's an artificial tree.
Okay.
So
That would be an investment.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I think that we also need to be conscious of being inclusive. So if we're gonna do a Christmas tree, what are we doing for all the other holidays that are celebrated around the same time?
So that would also require the investment into other decor that we could have out front during the wintertime.
So I guess my point is that I would stick with what we have
Okay.
and just decorate what we have opposed to bringing in a Christmas tree, because then I feel as though you need to bring in all the other holidays that are represented during December or January.
And I think the quotes as presented do a good job at bringing the community together and bring some flair to City Hall grounds that are here in the DDA.
Agreed.
We unfortunately no longer have quorum,
Right?
so we can't actually hold a vote. So should we table next month or? Okay, so we'll table this item for next month.
What didn't you like about express holiday lighting?
No pictures.
They didn't have to write the renderings, but
That's just a
It-
password, yeah.
it didn't
That's not right.
include
That's
the
not
gazebo
It looks like.
in, it only included the bushes around, or it included the bushes that were in front of City Hall and also around the monument sign out front. It just seemed that we got more value for our money with Lucent landscaping.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what caught my eye was it says 21 large trees
Yep,
they would decorate, so that would pack a visual impact, so.
it would.
All right, so I'm good with
Okay.
tabling
We'll table this until
until
next month, so we can hold a vote.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, let's see, where are we now? Too many tabs open. Okay, I guess we're down to new business. What do we need to know about the Lathrup Village Music Festival?
All right, so the Lathrup Village Music Festival, was a success. We had between 500 and 600 attendees. There were 20 diverse vendors, including businesses from our DDA, which included Papa's Pizza, which included Rita's Ice. They were here on site. Even our own Danielle Huey was here as one of our vendors with her business. We had 45 volunteers who either were current or former residents. I gotta say, they were instrumental in pulling off the festival. They did a fantastic job. And our concessions and merchandise had a 78% increase. So we had a total of $34,650 in sponsorship that we received for the festival. That included $10,000 from the DDA. For the total expenses to put on the festival was $28,733.49. And then with the revenue from the concessions and the bar, it came out to $4,444.89. So if you look at the event budget to put it on, compared to the revenue and expenses, we were over budget, or we were under budget at $10,361.40. So we were under budget on the production of the festival.
That's fantastic.
And then if I'd ask Lauren from the planning committee come up, if she would like to make a comment. We are having a meeting next Monday to finalize on the date for next year's festival.
Right. We were really excited to tell you about our financial success with the festival. Lauren Barris, by the way, Lathrup Village resident. But there are so many ways that we measure success for the festival, and like Austin said, our volunteers are so important, our sponsors are so important, the DDA is so important. And in our debrief, we talked to Danielle and Dr. Felton about their wish to go forward with some kind of family-centric area and something for the kids and for the families that came. So I wanted to let the DDA know that we think that's a great idea, and we've already approached the Parks and Rec Department about maybe doing some kind of collaboration with us during the festival, and we're taking all this excitement and just kind of not taking much time off and starting to plan next year. That's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Parks and Rec, they do a family fun day each summer, into the summer, and it landed about a week and a half after our festival. So they, as a community in Oakland County, we get access to different items like rock climbing wall, a number of hours, and so we use those hours on the family fun day. So we thought that if we're going to have a family-friendly zone for kids, that it would be good to utilize those hours in that space. And then also putting on the festival is a big task. So having Parks and Rec come in and kind of take ownership of that zone of the event would really help in the planning, and also bring this additional item that people would be interested in coming, and also bringing more families to the event.
I agree. I did have a question, and
Yeah.
I did talk to Ms. Barris about it. Is one, making sure, really bumping up the proposed dates for the festival up against all the communities that surround us, because I really, in my own opinion, that I feel like we were in competition with the Kimmy Horn concert, and I don't think that that's what we want to appear to be, but I think it did take from us for that one. And then also being a part of Oakland County, I thought, and we've done it here before, is that we have the ability, and this is something, Lauren, if you want to answer this, we have the ability to get the staging from Oakland County.
Okay.
And I want to say it was even the fencing. We'd had we did a 50th anniversary celebration. We got the stage here for that. We had the stage. It's like 2 other events, and so just a way of saving money, because you can go through Oakland County for it.
Right. I think we did use Oakland County for our first year, and there was just a different vision for the staging this year, but we'll look at it again.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, we're moving on to the Surnow MEDC letter of support.
So as I mentioned earlier, the Surnow group is following the meeting they had with the Planning Commission. They took those items into consideration and have updated their plan. They've now changed the number of units down to about 130. And they have taken into consideration the building materials that would be used and that would fit more in with the district. And then also they are, one of the reasons they are reaching out to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation for assistance to see if the project could be financially feasible is because they want to preserve the certain areas of the high school, especially that core that was built in the 30s and that can be a landmark for the district here in our main street. So this letter was to provide to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to show that the local government unit is in support and that the public-private partnership includes infrastructure improvements that have been done in the past and are planned in the future. These would have been done either way to spur economic development in this area, the DDA. So this is a letter that we ask you all to review. You're welcome to edit anything in the letter that you would like, or draft your own letter of support. This is just to see if the project can be financially feasible, and of course the project site plans will go through the normal site plan review process here with the city, with public input, and also with the Historical Society.
So I do have a question. In thinking about what some of the residents did say when they came up, more recently, has Surnow talked with, because I want to say they did have an open house or something, but it might have been a long time ago. Jason Hammond, do you remember? They had
The last would have been
when they came
the
here.
last would have been a few months ago when they went to Planning Commission just to talk about concept.
But they came to the DDA meeting also for something. That's what I'm thinking of. And so this letter is just saying that they just want the support of the body of the board.
Yeah, so the MEDC essentially, with their applications and everything, they're just looking for letters of support from the DDA or City Council or Planning Commission saying, hey, we want to see this site redeveloped. We are willing to work with the developer and the MEDC to make this happen by following the right process. But unfortunately, the MEDC, naturally, they love these type of letters to show there is some community buy-in, especially from those governing boards.
And so again, it's only for the board or for elected officials that these letters are going to the MEDC just as support.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what would be involved in the public, or in other words, the government end of things if this project goes forward? What do we have to pay for or help with?
Well, that's still kind of up in the air, so that's where they're kind of working with MEDC. For them, there's a funding gap to make this happen. This would be a very large project for them. That they could self-fund it, they would. But unfortunately, right now they cannot, so that's why they're going through MEDC. Once they get to that portion and they know where the MEDC funding falls, they could potentially come to the city and see if there is a chance to create a brownfield district or a different TIF district or go with a payment in lieu of taxes program. That's a lot of that's still way up in the air, because they don't know where they're going to fall with MEDC, and if they don't get any MEDC funding, there's a good chance that this project won't even come to fruition. So we're kind of waiting for this process before we start anything else.
Okay. Any other questions? All right.
Doesn't this, I guess I do, this has to be tabled until our next meeting too? Or this doesn't have to be voted on today?
This doesn't have to be voted on
Okay.
today, and some members of the DDA board did provide edited versions of the letter
Okay.
and signed it. So
Okay.
this was just to bring it
Oh,
to...
they sent it on their own?
I
Okay.
emailed it out two weeks ago, I
Yeah,
believe.
draft.
Yeah.
So this isn't committing the city to anything. This
No.
is just letting the MEDC know that, hey, we want to see this site developed.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the DDA Director's monthly report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, pull it up. So we have a workshop coming up that is sponsored by the Main Street Oakland County for search engine optimization. So I ask that any small business in the district who's looking to participate, please let me know. It will be in Waterford on September 24th. There is a business beautification workshop that is being sponsored by the Tri-County or Tri-City organization or local DDAs. So it's Southfield, Oak Park, and Lathrup Village, which will and it is on September 25th from 5 to 7 p.m. in Oak Park. There is board training for all new board and commission members through Oakland County. It will be at their offices in Waterford on October 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. There's the Oakland County Community Showcase, which each community in Oakland County can present the strengths of their downtown district and also properties that are currently vacant, looking to be leased or be purchased by investors or business owners. This will be in Novi at the Showcase Convention Center on October 18th from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Michigan First will be hosting Light Up Michigan First on November 25th. The DDA will be there. We're going to have a tent to talk about the district, and it should be a fun family night. It is from 5:30 to 8 p.m. again on November 25th. The DDA is working with Parks and Rec to put on, or no, this is the Holiday Business Mixer. This is put on again by Southfield, Oak Park, and Lathrup Village. It'll be on December 4th in Oak Park from 4 to 6 p.m. And then in the early stages of planning a winter family night with the Parks and Rec Committee. They were putting it on and asked if we wanted to participate with them. We said, yeah, that we would work with them on December 6th. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. And then there is a business training, The Art of Giving Great Service is the topic on February 4th. And it'll be in Oak Park from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then business property updates. There's interior build out and signage for the new coffee shop going in at 26730 Southfield Road. And then also exterior facade renovations have begun in the plaza next door at 27300 Southfield. On your way out, take a drive on past out on California and take a look at work that has begun. The tree committee is researching a Department of Natural Resources DNR grant for the next funding cycle that opens up for the removal and replacement of trees across the village center and DDA. This could be an exciting opportunity to increase the tree canopy here in the city. And the application, actually we met on Tuesday, is in, I would say it's about 90% done, 85-90% done. And it would be a significant request that would bring additional trees to the city and improving our urban tree canopy. Again, Parks and Rec are working with myself to put together a holiday family night on Friday, December 6th. We're looking for businesses and residents who would like to donate food, games, or volunteer to run a game, activity, or craft table during the event. So right now, it looks like AT&T is going to come and provide hot cocoa for the event, and then Parks and Rec is going to put on a table, and then I will also, I'm thinking of maybe doing a cookie decorating activity, but open to any ideas anybody may have. The flowers and shrubs purchased from Steinkamp that was approved back in July for trees and shrubs were delivered today. They are currently out by the shed, and tomorrow we have a group of 12 volunteers who are going to begin from 10 and hopefully right now we have it scheduled till 5 to plant these trees along the flower beds right near the public entrance of City Hall, and then also the flower bed right directly in front or next to the entrance on the police station. If we are not able to get everything planted tomorrow, we're going to come back on Sunday and get everything finalized. And then the trees from Wild Type are planned to be delivered and installed on October 1st and 2nd. These will be in Annie Lathrup Park and on City Hall grounds. They are going to have 2 arborists come and help with the installation of the 12 trees. And that's all I have for this month.
Just one other note about the Steinkopf Nursery flowers and shrubs that we're going to plant tomorrow. This is phase 1 of improving the foundation beds along City Hall. Phase 2 will be in the spring, when we'll add flowers with a heavy emphasis on native plants.
How are the efforts going with building community amongst the business owners?
So there, I started with a group page on Facebook, so I'm reaching out to all the businesses on there, trying to get a line of communication, because it seems like every time I email out, it ends up in people's junk folders. I am walking Southfield, going to each business, trying to meet the business owners, trying to let them know that I'm here as a resource, the DDA is here as a resource, and then also letting business owners know that that we're looking for another DDA member, so that if anybody's interested, please apply. We are still accepting applications to fill an open seat here on the DDA.
Because so far we only have 1 application.
I believe we had 2, but neither of them had business or property ownership in the district, which is the member we need.
Gotcha. Oh, go ahead. Are you gonna?
No, I was just about.
Okay, so I wanted to recognize someone that helped beautify the DDA part of the DDA district, and God, I thought I could see without him. And that is from Frank Zielinski, who came over and he cleaned and repainted the bricks in the Veterans Memorial Park. No one asked him to, and he did that on his own. So I want to say just thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be a part of the community and keep the community beautiful. And then, well, do you want me to say the rest, or? So they're doing they being Frank and Ian Ferguson, they're going to be doing a tribute to veterans on November 11th. So I'm hoping that the DDA can actually partner with them to make that a bigger celebration. Though we are invited over to Southfield every year, however, I think that we should also start doing it here. Maybe again coordinating the time from what Southfield has. I think Southfield does it on a Friday, or I don't know what day the 11th falls this year, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Monday, maybe? I'm not sure.
It's
So-
Monday. It's Veterans Day.
So they do it, it's not all the time on the same day, so just coordinating the time, but if we could, the DDA and the city to be a part of it, to be a bigger situation. And, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. I believe that concludes.
Sorry. I wrote notes for a
Yes.
reason. And to piggyback off of that is that the city council has been giving proclamations, onesie, twosies to people for things that they do. And what I would also like to do in conjunction with the city council and the DDA is to have a volunteer reception, volunteer recognition reception. Not where we're doing it through the city council, but actually an evening of celebration of other people that have been working around Lathrup, but also in the DDA, because there's a lot of things that I've seen, especially the flowers, are just phenomenal, you know, and I really thank you for heading that up. But anyways, recognizing all the volunteers, but doing something that was annually and more towards the end of the year, so it's a culmination of everything that's going on in the year. And we did it a long time ago, and it just fell off. Good.
I think that's a great idea.
All right, one last chance for public comment. Andrea.
So just hearing what you guys were saying, that this was just a feasible report, that you're looking at the land and trying to figure out what to do with it, can I request that maybe we do a feasible report of what it could look like to keep it a green space, and maybe a rain garden that would help with, you know, the flood issue that we have in Lathrup, and reaching out to experts on that and how that would help improve some of those issues. I also had a question about the T-Mobile grant. What are the stipulations for that if we can't do it for a Christmas tree? Is there something else that, like, I wasn't sure what the qualifiers are for that grant?
It's for, oh, go ahead.
I found it was for city improvement, things that just improve the community and bring communities together. It's not particularly for like the green space, or I'm not playing down a green space, but it's for, they usually use it for like holiday seasons, just to make areas more festive so the community all comes out and congregates.
So could we use, is it only for holidays? Like, could we use some of that grant money for the park situation that we have? Like, I'm just saying, is there more, if we're not gonna do a tree, can we use that grant money for something else to help benefit the city?
The goal is citizen or community enhancement and bringing citizens together. That's the goal of the grant.
Yeah.
So play escapes or play ground enhancements is a part of that would qualify for that grant.
So could we explore that?
Yeah, we can look into it. Yeah, it's a grant that they just did their last round of funding, and it's a pretty well-known grant that that's been awarded to many communities, but not many in Michigan. So I think if we were able to put together a quality application, we could possibly get it. But taking a look at past recipients and trying to see how they used it when it comes to playgrounds, we can take a look into that.
Okay. How much is the grant for?
Maximum is $50,000.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that's it. I feel like the playgrounds are a huge need that it seems that there's not a place in the budget for, so I think that would be a great solution. Just one other question. So you mentioned we were under budget on the music festival. So then did the 10K come back to the DDA, or what happened to the serve money that?
That is a discussion that the board needs to have, decide how the money will be spent. It will be the $10,000. This past event, the DDA put $10,000 towards the event, so they'll have to decide if that's going to be what they put forward next time, or how it will be spent for the event going forward.
Okay, so it hasn't been decided. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you know, as far as the triangular patches, if we do end up not selling them and we do decide, oh, let's keep them as green space, yeah, we could do a much better job with the green space, because they're not really all that attractive now. Most of the trees that are growing up are trees that were not deliberately planted.
Yeah, and that could be a conversation at a future meeting when we decide whether we want to sell it or keep it. And then if we keep it, what do we do with it? Because at the end of the day, if we do keep it, we want to turn it into a park, and then it becomes a different conversation of who's paying to turn it into a true park.
Yeah.
So we can definitely have those conversations at future meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And just piggybacking, I hate that word piggybacking, but just to go off of what was just said about the money from the music festival, just to voice my opinion is that instead of coming back to ask us for it again, just to roll it over to next year if this is what we're planning on doing for them next year. Earmarking it for next year. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
What they're worth.
Any other public comments?
Hello again. Autumn, Susanna, I just hoping to reiterate that if you're going to have a letter that says you have the community buy-in, you should get the community buy-in before you say you have the community buy-in. So I'm hoping we're going to have a town hall, we're going to have some discussion, some actual opportunity for input from the residents before you say you have input from the residents. And if the Surnow's plans have been updated, they're not available to verify where are they posted. The old plans are available on Municode, but where are the new plans, so we can see that. And then finally, you mentioned that going forward we may piggyback family-friendly events, have the Parks and Rec attach itself to the music festival. Music festival is funded by cannabis and and alcohol sales on some level. Those are the sponsors that were listed. I'm not comfortable having a cannabis sponsored with the table and everything and have it be a kids event too. It seems like we should actually keep those separate. We used to have a fall festival that my family loved with pumpkins that were donated by Lori Bell, the realtor in town. There was a minimal charge to attend. There were hay rides, there was a train, there was a petting zoo. It was so lovely. It was a fall festival. It was very family friendly. I would love to see that, and I know I'm speaking for a lot of people who really miss that event. So something like that, instead of focusing all of our energies and monies potentially on this music festival, well, let's spread it out again. We're missing a lot of events we used to have, and we'd be happy to have that conversation with you so you are more aware of things that residents who've been here. I've been here 21 years. Other people have been here much longer, twice as long. They've grown, they raise their kids here. Their grandkids aren't having the same fun, cool, family-friendly events, and again, the parks do need attention, and thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Hammond. As far as the MEDC letters of support, my perspective as a council person and a planning commission member is that we need to initiate that request, and that part of that is coming out of the fact that residents and business owners have said for many, many years that they want Surnow to do something with the property they own, which is the school. So this is that's the community input that I am hearing, right?
Agreed.
The specifics of the plan is a down the road thing that will need to be dealt with at some point in time or another. But I feel like, based on the comments about, well, if the MEDC funding doesn't come through, if the city doesn't provide letters of support, if the MEDC decides not to provide that funding, then there's a gap in the cost of the project that the city can't fill and that Surnow can't fill, and so the building will continue to remain there in the state that it's currently in. So if we want to get to a point where we can actually receive useful community input on what a plan might look like that Surnow would support and that MEDC funding would support and that the DDA and the city can support, we got to go through this step to get MEDC funding and apply for that. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, we don't like this plan that Surnow has put forward. Let's go and do the step to encourage MEDC to support the city. And I think the best way that we can do that right now is by through these letters of support, whatever they look like. And again, as Austin said, and Micah said, they can be edited. You can make the letter look in a way that is using language that makes sense to you and that you can support. But I strongly encourage you to provide some sort of letter of support for this so that we can get to a point where that project actually could be done. Thank you.
Last chance.
And I'm in agreement with what Councilman Commissioner Hammond said also, is because this is something that we have heard complaints about for years. And so it may not be an official town hall that we've done regarding someone else's property, because that's the key thing to always remember, is that it is owned by somebody else. All they're asking for is our support to try to get this money. I'm not going to repeat exactly what you said. So I think that once we can get, rather than not we know we're going to get funding from, or he's going to get funding from the MEDC, then you have the town halls with the owners of the buildings to figure out exactly what the residents want, and then you get your input from it. Right now, we're just trying to get some type of funding for it. And believe it or not, I've been here for 11 years, and I've lived here over 17 years. That has been a complaint. It's been empty the entire time that I've been on council, and that's been a regular complaint, whether it is verbally stated, whether it's in an email, whether it is on social media, it's ongoing. So to me, I agree that is the input from our residents.
Next on the agenda is DDA board training, so.
With this, I think we can technically adjourn our meeting. Probably want to stick around with it and watch the training. You're more than welcome, but yeah, to
Okay.
officially end our meeting, we can do that now.
All right, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.